We are back live, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Man, Ross, we are 9 days away from playing the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's insane. I feel like it was yesterday when we played against the Oklahoma State Cowboys against Mike Gundy. Wow, 9 days away. Has it not hit me yet? I know as we get closer, it will. Has it hit you yet?
No, it hasn't, Paul. Definitely hasn't.
Well, listen, man. I know we're talking a lot about Miami Hurricanes football, Alabama. Next week, we have a great lineup coming up for you guys, so we're excited about that. But we thought this segment, let's talk recruiting. It is a hot topic. Always people love recruiting. So, might as well keep everyone up to date where things stand. There's a lot of great things to talk about. But first thing I want to talk about, Avante Williams was reinstated for the Miami Hurricanes football program. Huge news, obviously. The situation. Charges were dropped. He's an innocent man. Does Avante Williams play against the Alabama Crimson Tide, Ross?
It's a fantastic question, Paul. I think getting him back into the mix like we have right now and making it happen right now, I think that gives us at least a little bit of hope for him playing week one. If he ends up not being, a guy that they want out there suited up quite yet, I'm not going to be completely shocked. But if that's the case, I fully expect him out there week two.
Yeah, I have to agree with Randy on this one. I don't think he will be playing against the Alabama Crimson Tide unless it's like very minimal on special teams. I can see him just running down the field like, hey, just hit someone.
Yeah.
But he's been away from practice. He's been through a roller coaster of a ride the past couple weeks. I'm sure, if I was in his shoes, my head would not be straight by all means. I mean, literally, mental wise, I don't think I would be ready to play against Alabama. I think he would be sitting out this game, so I don't expect to see Avante Williams on the field. I'm extremely glad everything worked out in his favor, and he's back on the Miami Hurricanes football team. He's an incredible talent, and it would be a shame if it didn't happen at the University of Miami or if it didn't happen at all. So glad to have Avante back, and I agree. I think week 2 we'll be seeing him in pads ready to go in action. All right, so let's get into recruiting, guys. Shamar Stewart just dropped his top 5. Ross, man, local kid, Monsignor Pace High School. Miami held their second scrimmage there. I feel like we're going all in, full court press for Shamar Stewart. Probably the best, prospect in Miami-Dade County in the state of Florida. Where do you think we stand with Shamar Stewart right now?
I still believe that we're in a fantastic place right now with Shamar Stewart. I think that not only are we one of his top schools currently, we will continue to remain one of the top schools. While there is, the top 5 that was just released, there's also some people that are talking about, hey, there really is more of a top 3 for him, and he just hasn't dropped it yet. But it seems like he's definitely got his eyes on certain schools. But, I mean, Paul, here's what we're up against, man. Clemson, Texas A&M, Georgia, and Ohio State. I mean, if we want to get this kind of caliber of player, we got to beat out some of these elite schools to get them.
I think the key is winning. It's so simple yet so hard to accomplish any program, to win consistently 10 football games, 9 football games, to become relevant every single year. I think that's the key formula to land Shamar Stewart. And I think, he did mention Chad Simmons from Rivals. Did interview him, and he stated, look, Miami's home. He's from Miami. He's out of Opa-locka, Florida. So, this is his backyard. I think he wants to stay home. I think he wants to be a Miami Hurricane, but I also think he wants to evaluate what is going to put him in the right position to succeed and make it to the NFL. And if Miami is a roller coaster ride this upcoming season where it's not what everyone kind of panned out it to be, we have a potential, face of college football quarterback. Kirk Herbstreit stated, D'Eriq King, Hurricanes fans saying he can win the Heisman. He's a Heisman candidate. I think D'Eriq King's a very good quarterback. I think Miami can have a great season. You got to put everything together. But, we have high hopes for the University of Miami this upcoming season. We need to fulfill those promises. We need to play Clemson, beat Clemson the ACC title game. And I think Shamar Stewart would like that. But if it's that 2019 season. If it doesn't live up to those expectations, then I don't know. I don't think we land Shamar Stewart.
I completely agree, Paul. This is a player who's going to take a step back, and especially in terms of looking at his local school, which is Miami, take a step back and go, hey, these guys started to win some games last year. Can they do it again? Can Miami actually have back-to-back years of winning football, which is something we haven't seen in quite a while, at least on a legit level? I think he really is going to have a close eye on us, Paul. I really do. I mean, the rest of these schools, you kind of know what you're in for a little bit. Texas A&M is still working out some things on their end, but they're starting to win big as well. So out of all those teams on that list, Miami's the one that I think really needs to prove the most in his eyes.
Absolutely. Not trying to switch topics real quick. Kane Corso mentioned he thinks Avonte plays. Footballville did come out with a tweet stating that Brian Balaam was out for the season. He wasn't at practice today or the practice before. How does that impact the depth chart, Ross? Brian Balaam out for the season. Where do you think things stand at the safeties position unit?
I think things are going to be fine for us at safety. If anything, maybe this gives a guy like a James Williams possibly chances to get on the field earlier, getting a chance in practice more to get more snaps in front of the staff. There's always, there's positives and upsides or positives and negatives when things like this happen. But thankfully, we're talking about a safety room that is loaded with talent. And if we got a guy like Avonte Williams, who isn't even going to play week 1 maybe, and play week 2, kind of just adds to that depth that we've got.
Yeah, I think at safety we're completely fine. We are stacked. I mean, reports have came out. Footballville reported that Cam Kitchens has 5 or 6 interceptions already throughout fall camp. That's incredible. Can't wait to see him in action. You have Bubba Bolden, Gervin Hall. Those are 2 veteran players. Then you have the 5-star touted freshman coming in, James Williams, alongside Cameron Kitchens. You got Avonte Williams. There's a lot of talent in that position unit, and Keyshawn Washington as well, someone we have not mentioned. So it's unfortunate Brian Balaam potentially is out for the season with an injury. Luckily we are very, very satisfied personnel-wise at the safeties position unit. So it is unfortunate of the injury. Depth-wise, I think we're fine moving forward. So it'll be interesting how they distribute snaps. I'm curious about that.
That's kind of what the ultimate question is now. We know we have the talent. Who's going to really rise above? Who's going to be the cream of the crop in practice that's going to really earn those snaps at crucial moments? And I've told you about this before too, Paul. I will not be shocked at all if there are specific sets that James Williams is specifically lined up for against Bama week 1. He will get some snaps, I believe.
Someone tweeted out, I don't know specifically who, I thought it was an interesting kind of personnel, that we would put on the field. They put Cam Kitchens, Avonte Williams, strong safety, free safety, wherever you want, vice versa, and then James Williams at striker. Can you see that potentially happening in the future or this upcoming season at all? Because I don't think so. I don't see it that way this season. Maybe 2 years from now, next year. I don't know. That's fair. I don't see it happening this season.
Yeah, I don't see that quite this season. I think that there's a future possibility of that. But I'll tell you what, Paul, I'm still of the mindset that I want to see James Williams playing safety. That's where I want to see him, bro.
I'm literally completely curious. I don't know where we're going to put him. He's 6'5". He's 225 pounds. You put a blindfold over me, I think that's a defensive end at the Power 5 level. Where do you put him? And people have even thrown out the idea you can put him as an edge rusher, because with those measurements, he is a defensive end, so I'm curious his development at the college football level, and I cannot wait to see him on the football field. I'm excited. I can't wait, man. September 4th, we're 9 days away. It's pretty surreal. Like, I honestly, someone pinch me. It still has not hit me that we're going to be playing against the Alabama Crimson Tide in Atlanta. So we'll see what happens. Ross, what recruit do you want to go over real quick? We just covered Shamar Stewart. What's the first that comes to your mind that Miami must land? Because Shamar Stewart is a must get.
Absolutely. Shamar Stewart is a must get, especially when you consider the lack of talent that is local this year. So you really got to hit home on these elite guys. Another guy, Paul, we've talked about him before, Jaleel Skinner. This is a must for this class, in my opinion. An absolute must. The ultimate offensive weapon in the spread offense.
So I'm going to throw it back to you real quick. Did you watch the game versus IMG and American Heritage Plantation? Because I was out of town. I was not in the country. I'm not going to stay up. It's an 8-hour difference. I'm not going to do it. I'm not. Did you watch that game?
I didn't get to see the game live, but I saw highlights. I saw various highlights of it, yeah.
Okay. How did Jaleel Skinner perform against American Heritage Plantation?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly the stats that he put up, Paul, but he looked like you wanted him to look, long strider, still a little lean. He's still putting on a little muscle. He's still having a little strength, but that long stride and that track background that really helps in his straight line speed, you see his athleticism just right off the jump, dude. I mean, there's not many guys like him at his size with his length that move like he does.
Now, there were pictures on the internet of him having, the Ibis towel that he brought to the game. I think it seems like Miami is trending upward with Jaleel Skinner. Huge shout out to Coach Fields for making that happen. What's your little crystal ball prediction right now with Jaleel Skinner right now in moving forward if you had to make a prediction?
If I had to make a prediction right now, Paul, I say Jaleel Skinner would be a Miami Hurricane. I trust Coach Field. I absolutely trust Coach Field.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge win. I think that shows Coach Fields as a recruiter. He traditionally gets the best tight ends in the country. And when he wants a tight end, he goes out and gets it. So I think, honestly, that shows what happens when you actually invest in appropriate coaches.
Yep.
We outbid to get Coach Fields from other programs.
Yep.
We outbid to get Travaris Robinson from other programs. Travis Williams, he goes to UCF. I get it. It's his dream coaching. Defensive coordinator position. Yeah. It's a great gig with UCF. Ishmael Aristide, great pickup. Your staff is the backbone of your college football program. You got to develop your players. You got to bring them in. So that's how important your coaching staff is personnel-wise. Want to cover something? Al Blades is playing safety because Brian Balaam is, potentially out for the season. That's what Footballville reported. How do you feel about that and his development? Because honestly, I don't really like it. We're stacked at safety personnel-wise. If Al Blades moves to safety, I don't think we're going to see him a lot the entire season. Whether he plays cornerback, the position he's been playing throughout his college career, he's going to get a lot more snaps. This is a late position change, and I don't think he's going to benefit from it. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think, it's kind of odd. I feel the same way you do about it. It kind of makes me wonder what he's been looking like at cornerback. Some move that we felt was a necessity, not just from a depth standpoint, but for trying to possibly resurrect his career or however you want to put it. But playing safety, that's tough, man. That's going to be a tough task for him with all that talent we have. But I will say, Paul, that at least from a coverage standpoint, playing safety, I can see where that might be something beneficial for us at certain times. But it's just not a lot of snaps there for him, dude. It just isn't.
Yeah, you have Bubba Bolden, you have James Williams, you have Gervin Hall, you have Avonte Williams, Keyshawn Washington. I feel like Cam Kitchens.
Yeah.
It's too much, and they've come in already in the fall if they're underclassmen playing safety. He's never played safety at the collegiate level before. I feel like it's going to be a difficult transition this late, and to get snaps, I think that takes away depth at the cornerback position as well. Just keep him at corner. It's already late in his college career. Just keep him there. That's when things get messy in development, when you start switching positions late in their career. That's just my opinion. I hope it works out. I think personnel-wise, it's going to be very difficult for Al Blades to get playing time. Now, Ross, I got to ask you a question because we're talking about secondary. Tyreek Stevenson, seems like DJ Ivy to Corey Couch are running with the ones. Were you surprised Tyreek Stevenson didn't get, reps at first team so far throughout fall?
A little bit, yeah. I'm a little bit surprised. I expected him to come in a little bit more, I want to put it game ready, with SEC background already, being ready to step in day one and become an impact for us on the practice field. Though, I'm extremely high onto Corey Couch. I'm not surprised to hear he's been looking good. And we've talked about Ivy before too. kind of fits exactly what T-Rob likes to do. And if T-Rob is the coach that we really truly believe he is, Ivy will be a better player this season. All of our guys in the secondary will rightfully be better players if T-Rob is truly the guy we think he is, and I believe he is, Paul. So, yeah, I mean, as long as we've got a guy like T-Rob back there handling this, I'm feeling a lot better.
Yeah, I'm curious the development with DJ Ivy. I feel like every single offseason, could be wrong. I want to hear from you guys as well. We hear like praises of DJ Ivy. This is a new, DJ Ivy. He's developed tremendously throughout fall camp, spring camp. He's improved so much, and then regular season comes, like first couple plays, it's like, oh no, back to reality. So hey, new season, new coach, overseeing the entire defensive backs unit. We'll see, man. I want to see development. I want to see improvements, and hopefully we will see it under Travaris Robinson and DeMarcus Van Dyke. Just want to thank quickly to everyone joining us on tonight's show. We do this on the fly. We're grateful that we have over 60 people watching us 17 minutes in, man. So thank you so much. We're literally about to hit 5K on our last Kings After Dark show. So thank you so much, man. We're grateful for every single viewer. Truly appreciate it. All right. Let's talk about Jaheim Singletary. The chat was blowing up earlier about him and his recruitment. 5-star cornerback out of Jacksonville, Florida. This is a huge target. Travaris Robinson has been working this. Jaheim Singletary is the recruit where, like, if you don't have room for a cornerback, you just make room. You drop someone. Who cares? You need Jaheim Singletary in this class. He's the type of player who can start year one. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly, Paul. He's the type of guy you make room for, whether you have the need or not in the current class. This is an absolutely elite player. This is a guy that was prioritized by Ohio State. They wanted him in his system, and when you wanted by Ohio State in the secondary, that means that they think you're a future NFL player, plain and simple. So that's the kind of caliber that we've got possibly interested in us right now. We know he likes Miami. It's just gauging on exactly how much in comparison to the other schools, but we're right there towards the top. He wouldn't have made this move had Miami not been something interesting to him, and his public announcements and praisals for T-Rob are pretty special. We wouldn't have got that with our former staff.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree on that. Would you say it's a Miami-Florida battle right now?
Yeah, there's a good chance. Yeah, very good chance of that, Paul.
I think it comes down to winning football games, to be honest. Like, the relationship is key. It's huge. And you can probably preach, like, if you are losing, like, hey, like early playing time, you're going to start right away. But, I think winning football games is going to seal the deal for a lot of these 5-star recruits, Jaheim Singletary, Shamar Stewart, compared to other programs like a Florida, like in Ohio State, your Alabamas, Jaleel Skinner as well. If you want these 5-star recruits to get you an elite class, you have to win. And it's so simple. But can the Miami Hurricanes pull it off in 2021? And I don't think a 9-3 season does it. I think you have to get those 10 wins and play for the ACC title game and compete or win it. So that's the beauty of the season, man. We don't know what's going to happen. We can make all these predictions and none of it will come true. So we'll find out soon what happens. We got a question. Who do we think are going to be returning punts for this upcoming season? I'll toss it to you, and then I'll do my take.
This was something that we had brought up just this last week, I believe, Paul. You know how my opinion on it is, and it's for the simple fact that this kid, and I mentioned it before, I'll mention it the same exact way. This kid has got some major balls. He has got big old balls, dude, and it's Restrepo. That's the guy that I want back there. I think he's got the skill set as far as being a competent receiver in that aspect. And I think he's got the courage to want to take that unit to a level that we haven't had it at in a while. I want someone back there with confidence and skill. I don't want someone back there just being scared to simply catch the ball anymore.
Listen, I'll be honest, like returning punts, special teams, kickoff return, punt return, it's been completely awful. There used to be a standard at Miami where, returning punts used to open up the offensive drive. It used to put you in great field position. That was old Miami Hurricanes football when we were elite. I feel like it's gone away completely. I would say through Mark Richt to the Coach Manny Diaz era, it hasn't been there, and we need to fix it. If Xavier Restrepo is the guy, great. That's awesome. I just need to see a ton of improvement in that area because it has not been the same. We have not had an ace punt returner where we can count on your Devin Hester, your Roscoe Parrish, your Sonoris Moss, who will put you in outstanding field position. It's been completely lacking, and we need a ton of improvement in that area. Just being honest. So I think it's going to be Xavier Restrepo, and I'm curious how he'll do. I really am. I like the aggressiveness, like you're saying. I just think you need to be smart, and I hope he
Yeah.
can decipher when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping because remember Jeff Thomas against Florida. I hate to revisit the past. I don't know if you call that aggressiveness or just dumb. We don't need any dumb football, and that can get twisted with being aggressive. So just be smart, and I think Xavier Restrepo has that high football IQ.
A lack of skill and a lack of opportunities can sometimes make it seem like having confidence can seem dumb. You know, when you've got the supreme confidence in yourself and you've got the muscle memory, so to speak, and you've got that embedded into you and you are a punt returner in that aspect, that's what we need to see, Paul. And I know there's been a lot of fans that say, you know, the kicking game and the punt returning game, it's not like it used to be. The rules have changed. I get it. I totally get it. You're not going to have the same opportunities you used to have, but that's still not an excuse for just basically neutering the entire operation.
Hey, a lot of people say Malik Curtis.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it'll be a Restrepo. Just veteran. No need to put in a true freshman in the game.
He's a heck of an athlete, though, Paul. He's a heck of an athlete.
Yeah, I just first game against Alabama, and
that's tough.
The foul. I mean, it's a lot to ask for. You know, Restrepo actually has in-game experience, put more of a veteran presence. If you want to toy Malik Curtis in with the non-conference games, your App States, your Central Connecticut States, I think that's a great starting point to grow from. Not against Alabama, because they will play games with you. They will knock you out. They will slap you in the face. And by the way, guys, for Miami to win this football game, they need to play their best football game. Their best. They cannot make any mistakes. They cannot be undisciplined like we saw against Clemson because they're a very undisciplined football team. They give up way too many penalties. We need to play a 10 out of 10 football game. And it starts with our leader, D'Eriq King. He's going to have to put on a show. Quickly, Ross, I know it's a recruiting show. We're going back and forth. What are some key stats you think D'Eriq King has to put up to be successful against Alabama?
I don't necessarily look at it, Paul, as needing certain stats. What I need to see is that deep pass game like we've talked about before. There'll be a time and a place for everything. You know, hey, if we get our run blocking going well and we run the ball decently, he won't have to take a bunch of shots, hopefully. He won't have to put up insane stats just to keep us in. Finding that balance will be important. It's Bama. It's really tough to find that balance. But we got to keep him somewhat honest out there. We got to have somewhat of a run game just to help King out. As long as he's hitting on some of these passes 20, 25 plus yards down the field on a semi-consistent basis, it at least forces the Bama defense to have to stay honest.
Yeah. I'm curious how we utilize D'Eriq King in the run game. If he's going to be very mobile, he's going to be a little bit timid. This is going to be the first time we really see him live in action. You know, like Allen Iverson said it best, it's practice.
Yep.
Because when you're in practice, look, no edge rusher, nobody in the interior is going to sack D'Eriq King. You know, they're going to tag him. He's just coming off a torn ACL. That's your teammate. That's your leader. You're not going to hit him. Whereas in the real game, Alabama doesn't care. They will eat you alive. So I'm curious how D'Eriq King plays. I got a lot of questions for this game, but if Miami wants to win this football game, I think D'Eriq King has to be very successful on the run and throwing the football. I think that magic number is 300 passing yards and 100 rushing yards. No interceptions. You have to win the turnover battle.
If we want to have the ultimate test for our quarterback, you know, the ultimate test, we got it week 1.
You got to beat Matt Corral. I love that. I like Matt Corral a lot. I think he's an outstanding quarterback. Let's get back to recruiting. Anthony Lucas, this is a recruit that we've interviewed. Great kid. I love him. Number 1 player in the state of Arizona. Hell of a talent. Someone we need to land. His father went to the University of Miami. That's his alma mater. What do you think, Ross?
Absolutely elite player on the defensive line. I mean, this is a monster. This guy is. When you watch his film, it's almost kind of like man playing versus boys. Basically, I mean, there are times where he simply bullies guys his own size on the offensive line. If you don't have his strength or at least his get off on the line off the snap, he will dominate you every single time, and he's going to be able to do it. Well, in high school, he'll be able to do it somewhat inside and outside. I think ultimately he might be headed inside for college because just due to his size. But, dude, him on the inside, that's really special, possibly, Paul. It really, really is.
Yeah, no. I mean, imagine him and Anthony Lucas, Shamar Stewart playing in the same defensive line unit. I mean, that's scary to think about.
Yep.
That is really scary.
That's a dream.
This is on Ishmael Aristide. This relationship was built back in Texas A&M. The only reason why Anthony Lucas is really interested in Miami is because of Ishmael Aristide. So this is his prize. This is, his project right here is landing Anthony Lucas. It's really on him. There's nothing else really drawing him in. His father even said it. He was kind of, a little bit disappointed that Miami didn't offer him earlier compared to other programs because that's his alma mater. Why would you not offer my son? He's the best player in the state of Arizona. Now you're a little bit late to the party. And thanks to Ishmael Aristide, we can join the party. So, hey, we'll see what happens. I'm very curious. We'll get in touch with him soon. But he's someone where if we miss out on, it's going to bite us because he's going to excel in another program, and it could be the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Wherever he goes, Paul, it's going to be a place that he feels can get him lined up for the NFL because that's the kind of caliber player he is. He's got NFL dreams, and he has NFL upside, plain and simple.
Absolutely. 100% agree. The closer states, I think it will be hard to run on Bama, but will be easy to throw. We just need to make the catches. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I think he's 100% right. I think our run game will not excel against the Alabama Crimson Tide, and I will be very surprised if we have a running back run over 100 rushing yards individually, not as a whole.
Yeah, in terms of, weakness to strength type of topics, yeah, I can see where the pass game is going to be a little bit easier for us. But I'll tell you what, Paul, if we can't run the ball even just a little bit and they get to sit back and just play pass defense and win one-on-one battles with 3 and 4 up front, dude, it won't matter what we try to throw at them. We won't complete enough passes to win that game, plain and simple. There has to be some kind of way to keep them at least a little bit honest. If we can run the ball, I mean, you like to think at about a 5 to 6 yard clip in college is what you want good running backs to run the ball at. If we can run the ball at a consistent 3.5 to 4 yards against them and pick up tough third downs, it will be a big deal for us in the long run. It really will.
I'll say this. I think this is my bold prediction on the game. Call me crazy. I think D'Eriq King will be our leading rusher against Alabama. Call me crazy. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll stand by it. But that's my bold prediction on the game. I think D'Eriq King will be our leading rusher. I have so many question marks, man. I really don't know what we're going to see. I'll say this. I saw Zion Nelson 2 days in a row on campus working out the gym. He's walking fine. He's not limping. There's no brace. I think he'll be ready to go.
That'd be great.
He's walking fine. He's walking completely fine. I think he'll be ready to go.
Dude,
we're going to need him. Because if Zion Nelson doesn't play, you need everybody and your mom to face the Alabama Crimson Tide. You need a completely healthy personnel-wise offensive line, a healthy quarterback, healthy wide receiver rotation. You cannot be missing players and expect to beat Alabama, especially your best NFL draft prospect.
Yeah.
The offensive line position unit.
A guy being seen as a possible first-round pick, you simply have to have those kind of guys in your lineup against Bama because that's the kind of guys that they're going to have in their lineup against us.
Absolutely. Eric Davenport asks, will we'll need the 2 tight end set to run on Bama? I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We're going to see that. I don't think we're going to see it.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see a whole lot of 2 tight end sets against Bama. I just don't. I agree with you there. I think we're going to try to get what we can get between the tackles and then try to get a guy like Rooster on the outside to break 1 or 2 big ones. But I agree with you in the sense that King could be our leading rusher. for the simple fact that big running plays are probably not going to be available, especially in a consistent basis. King will have the opportunities when plays break down to see space and run for it. If he gets a 15, 16, 17-yard run, that might be the longest run of the night for us. So he could get those opportunities more than the running backs do.
Yeah, absolutely. Utilizing Will Mallory, I want to see it a lot. This is kind of like his shining moment. He's the number one tight end target, and I think he might even benefit from this a lot more, being your go-to tight end target. He's 6'5". He's probably our best red zone target, jump ball situations, any deep ball passes. He's a complete mismatch, X factor in conference play. I think he's going to have an outstanding season. He just needs to stay healthy. Because do you remember that catch against Louisville? Like, he caught the pass, he literally stiffed arm one player, he spinned around another guy. I mean, that was
special.
That, I mean, you can't teach that.
No.
You know, and I think that's just a little glimpse of what we can see Will Mallory do in a complete season, healthy, and he's your primary target at the tight end position or offense in general. So
he could be, I mean, there's no doubt about it. At the end of that Bama game, he could be definitely leading the way in terms of receptions, not just receptions, but also targets as well. I mean, we're going to need him at times to be that. I hate to refer to it as safety blanket because I hope we kind of get past some of those points, but there will be times against an elite team where we'll need that safety blanket. We'll need that 5-6 yards over the middle. We'll need him to make sure he gets it.
All right. Let's kick it back to recruiting, Ross. What recruit do you want to talk about next? Because we've covered probably all the 5 stars. Anyone you can think of we're missing, or just in general we should talk about.
I think it's really important to stress that while we do have Flip Carswell committed at tackle, that we are pursuing some very, very good interior offensive linemen as well. We've got guys like Hood, we've got guys like Ogbo, and we've got guys like Snoop Ama. So we've got some really legitimate guys that we can go after. It seems like Ogbo really might have taken quite a bit of Garen Justice's attention lately. That's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
Snoop is definitely feeling the love still, and we're still going to show him love because we think he's a special player. It's just going to come down to who commits at what time. That's really going to factor into what we do going forward.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on right now. Malik, I mean, you know better than me, Ross. Obviously, I mean, I think you speak with Snoop more than his own parents. Basically, Malik Ogbo is the priority. If Malik Ogbo goes to another school, commits, pen to paper, Snoop Amama is our guy. That's it. I think it's that simple. I think Snoop is not at stake right now, and they're waiting for Malik. I would take both. I think just get Snoop on board. I think Malik's a game. I could be wrong, but he's all the way in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, 5-star. He's not in your own backyard. Hey, Garen wants to go out and land him, and give him all the credit in the world if he does.
Yeah.
But Snoop, I think, is a for sure commit, hard commit. If he does, what I'm worried about is that he's gaining traction from Utah, BYU, Virginia. Listen, like, he's out in that area, in that BYU, Utah area. Virginia's making a strong push, it seems like, social media wise. I mean, you would know. So if you're agreeing, you confirm it. That's what I'm worried about. It's like to a point where it's like, hey, like, I've been waiting for so long. I like Miami, but I'm just being too patient. These guys are saying, like, just come on board. That's what I'm worried about.
And we got to remember, too, Paul, is, while he's got these offers from schools like Virginia and they're putting that pressure on, he's got interest from SEC schools like LSU and Ole Miss who are telling his coaching staff, if we see the proper development through the first 4 to 5 weeks, we're going to pull the trigger on Snoop. So I'll tell you what, Paul, if Snoop ends up with an LSU offer here eventually, it's going to change everything. It's going to be kind of a snowball effect, in my opinion.
If Snoop gets offered by LSU, like, he needs to be the priority for Miami. I think it's enough. It's like, listen, dude, like, now you have SEC schools. Utah is a damn good program. BYU under Bronco Mendenhall was very consistent. They're a respectable program.
Yeah.
If LSU offers him, it's like, come on, like, wake up, or you're going to miss out on something great. And I didn't know who Snoop was at Paradise Camp when I saw him live, and I thought he was a Power 5 starting offensive lineman. just from seeing him. I said, that is your Power 5 starting offensive lineman personnel right there. Like, he looks the part. He has measurements you can't teach. You got to take him. Chad is going crazy. Jacob Hood is announcing soon. Do you think Miami's in or out? I mean, honestly, I think we're on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. Recruiting's a crazy game.
I agree. We're on the outside looking in with Hood, I believe, and I think that we are going to kind of prove that going forward by our staff showing the love to the players that they really want to identify. Yes, that we are in the battle for Hood in terms of being in it for a while. We've been at him for a while. We've known about Hood for a while. We've had him on campus. That doesn't necessarily mean, though, that he's a top target for us. While we would love to add him to the team due to his physical size alone is incredible, but I think that, honestly, guys like Snoop and Ogbo are actually more skilled.
Interesting. Okay. Very, very interesting. I think they're all great talents. I wish we can take all three. I think we'll take one out of the three. How about that? Trent Robinson has asked about Jaden Gibson. Ross, kind of what do you think about that? I mean, he's probably one of the better wide receiver prospects in the state of Florida. He's like 6'4", huge arm length. Honestly, like, he's everything we kind of need at the wide receiver rotation. We don't have really, I mean, D Wiggins is 6'3", but we really don't have a deep ball threat.
Yeah.
He can kind of, become that if he does come to Miami. So I think he is a priority.
I think he's the only other receiver that we're probably willing to bring into the class, Paul. I think that if he doesn't commit, we could end up seeing two receivers and then the current guys we have, Ibieta and Horton. I think Jaden Gibson offering such a unique upside with the height, like you mentioned, and the length and the athleticism, that's the kind of guy that, I don't want to say necessarily you make room for him like you would Jaheim Singletary, but you find a way to make that happen. You bring that kind of talent into the team because we simply need it. We just don't have it.
Yeah. It's crazy because, like, Michael Redding III, like, if you see him in person, like up close and personal, like, literally, I mean, he doesn't look like a 20-year-old, a 19, like, he literally looks like a grown man. He's already built. He's not a project. He's jacked. Like, he's strong as hell. All the talent in the world. It's just, it's more of it's not the coaching that's the issue. It's not. And I think we've taken chances like Dazzling Worsham. I don't think that should have ever been a take for the program. I don't expect him contributing this upcoming season. I will be in shock if he does contribute. Yeah. Look, I saw him like a month ago. That's all I'm going to say. He doesn't look game ready. He doesn't look it. I'll keep it real. Thank you again for everyone joining us. We have 116 people live with us, 40 minutes in. Wow. We do this on the fly. We're grateful for everyone tuning in. 9 days away from playing the Alabama Crimson Tide. Greg Bush, Paul Ross, what's good, my fam? YouTube, as usual, did not alert me. Hit the notification bell so it can alert you. Apologize for that, Greg, that it did not alert you. Anything else you want to cover?
I actually have a question for you, Paul. Hey. There's an offensive lineman that we haven't talked about yet, and I want to kind of present it to you on the lines of how you talked about Jaheim Singletary type of player. You make room for him. If there for some reason, I don't see it happening, unfortunately, but if Julian Armella, a guy like that, was interested in the class, where do you make room for him at? Where do you subtract one to bring him in, or do you make a different decision?
I mean, I hate singling out players, but like a Philentha Carswell, come on. Like, you bring in Julian Armella. Bye, Philentha.
I got you.
I hate saying that, but like any guy, like we saw this with Tim Burns last year in the recruiting class. We saw that. We dropped him very late towards the end of the recruiting cycle. You take kids right now, and then as you get on to early National Signing Day to National Signing Day, you're like, wait a second, this guy's actually interested now. We need to drop someone. Who do we drop? We see this a lot, and this is not just at Miami. It's at every college football program, So that's the way I see it. I mean, you have to make room for these elite recruits, Julian Armella, Malik Agbo. I would make room for Snoop as well. I think he's an incredible talent.
I feel the same way. There's just certain players that you simply make room for, and I think Julian Armea is one of those kind of guys. Now, another question I had for you too is we haven't hit on linebacker yet. How much, as time's going on, how much is it getting more of a pinch for us to land our guy Wesley?
I'm going to say this. I was completely in shock. We took Justin Medlock. I wish him the best of luck at the University of Miami, and I hope he does great things. I was just surprised he was a take. I will keep repeating this because I know he's going to be good at Florida State. Omar Graham Jr., I think he's an incredible talent.
Yep.
He may not fit the 4-2-5 scheme and more to a 4-3, but man, that guy is your traditional middle linebacker, outside linebacker. I know we use inside linebackers primarily, and that's where Justin Medlock may be a better fit, but it is what it is. We need to put a full court press on Wesley Bissainthe. Obviously, we've been battling with Devin Jackson. You know more of that situation than me. I've been out of town for literally a month. But we need to land Wesley Bissainthe. He's the best linebacker prospect probably in South Florida. And usually that translates to being the best in Florida, arguably. If we lose him to another program, that's really bad for the linebacker position unit moving forward. Personnel-wise, it's very weak. Currently, right now, present day, within the Miami Hurricanes football program, it's the weakest I've seen in quite a while. I'm not being negative. That's just the way I see it, and it needs to improve. And that starts with recruiting and bringing in players, and it starts with Wesley Bissainthe. We'll see what happens.
I believe that Bissainthe is even more of a priority now that things with Devin Jackson have changed. This isn't the same recruitment for Devin Jackson it was 2 months ago. Not at all. There is some major changes in it. And the buzz and some of the hype has kind of died down a little bit in terms of Miami. I don't think we're necessarily out of it by any means, but Paul, a lot changed, man. A whole lot.
I think it was just weird when he randomly came out with like Oklahoma and Texas. I think he wants to play in the SEC, and I think they threw him a bone that they will be joining the SEC. And I think that's when things changed. And, it's really tough to land these kids from like Omaha, Nebraska, like way out there where like Miami he literally has no recognition whatsoever. I understand it's the University of Miami. It has a brand, it has history, but like, listen, Oklahoma and Texas, that's their backyard.
Yep.
There's more of a name, there's more of a following in that area compared to the University of Miami in the state of Nebraska. I'm actually shocked he's not considering the Nebraska Huskers. So,
my guess is it simply comes down to performance by the Huskers lately. They probably haven't done good enough for him, especially now that he's got, when you have a team like Oklahoma that all of a sudden pops in, it changes a lot. And I'll tell you what, Paul, Oklahoma's gotten some better linebacking play lately, so I'd keep an eye on that.
No, look, Oklahoma's an outstanding program. What Lincoln Riley has done there offensively, they are literally what they've done at the quarterback position. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, you got Spencer Rattler, Jalen Hurts. They bring out Heisman Trophy winners left and right. Spencer Rattler may even be the next one this upcoming season. So, look, outstanding program. They just need to fix things defensively. All right. If you have any questions, let's talk about it. Let's wrap up this show. Some little bit of a rapid fire. And let's throw out some questions. Whatever you want to talk about. Recruiting. Miami Hurricanes football. We got the Alabama Crimson Tide in 9 days away. Ross is doing the Mark Rogers pregame, postgame show. September 2nd, you're going to be putting a show together before the big game. So...
Yep. We'll be going live on the 2nd, guys. We're going to break that thing down top to bottom, and don't be surprised if it's not the only show that we go on that day. Don't be shocked.
It's going to be a great night. All right, Ross, will the NCAA grant more spots this year? I know Manny Diaz was being a big advocate for that. Do you think you see it happening?
They need to. That's what I will say. They need to. Will the NCAA do what's always needed? That's the problem. I hope so. I that's all I can say. I hope so, because if they don't, there's issues in the future for sure.
Listen, the transfer portal is just getting bigger. It's a free agency pool, and eventually there's going to be players there who they have nowhere to go.
Yep.
All right. What's the score prediction? I think we're going to save it as we get closer, but I will say the Miami Hurricanes football program, after seeing a lot of big games, they need to prove me wrong. They need to prove me wrong. That's my only hint I'll give, but I will drop it September 2nd, my score prediction.
I'm going to do the same thing.
Yep.
Yep, same thing. And I'm telling you right now, guys, yes, Bama's the first on the slate, but do not look past Michigan State. Don't look past them. Mel Tucker is going to have those guys ready to play a good football game versus us.
How do you feel the game versus Alabama will determine our future recruiting? That's a great question. I think it's huge. I really do, because if we get blown out by Alabama, every SEC school is going to use that as, hey, like, it's Miami. They talk big game. They don't back it up. They never show up against the big boys like we've seen against Clemson, Alabama, LSU. They don't show up during prime time, and they're just talk. But if we compete, we beat Alabama, you know what? It's going to change recruiting a lot. We're going to land Jaleel Skinner for sure. We're going to land Shamar Stewart, Jaheim Singletary, Anthony Lucas. We're going to land all the 5-stars. Throw down Travis Hunter too. That's my favorite. I love Travis Hunter, by the way.
A phenomenal athlete, like a special athlete. There's no doubt about it. Guys just don't do what he can do all the time. He has natural skills that are impossible to teach. Absolutely impossible. Now, my thing about this Bama game is I would say, in terms of recruiting, it's monumental. It's not just big. It's not huge. It is absolutely monumental. This is the chance Miami has to prove that we belong in the battles for elite players with the big boys, that we're not just a team who's going to pop in and get an occasional 5-star every 4 or 5 years. Let's prove that we belong in these battles with the elite schools.
This is a good question. John L. asked, with all the out-of-state commits, do you still see Miami locking down South Florida? Do we even have a South Florida commit right now? We don't, right? I don't think so. I'm just thinking off my head. I don't think we even have one from Miami. It's not traditional. You're supposed to lock down your backyard, right? That's what Howard Schnellenberger did. We're not doing that, obviously.
This is an odd season in terms of talent in the area. So, and it was something that I talked about months and months ago. Don't be surprised if we not only made those offers to out-of-state guys, but pursued them as like they were basically in our own backyard. And that's what we've done. We've identified the fact that we can't depend on South Florida to fix our recruiting class this year. It's just not going to happen. We got to take those shots outside the state.
Does Rhett Lashley leave after this season?
If we have a big season, he could definitely get a shot at a mid-major as a head coach. Yeah, the young up-and-comers like him are the trendy guys getting those shots now. Schools aren't so hesitant now to go out and give a guy a shot. It used to be, well, we need to see this. You have to prove this. You have to prove this. Now it's about catching lightning in a bottle. And if you can catch lightning in a bottle, you can make something special happen, like a Coastal Carolina or Liberty.
Guys, it was a pleasure to have over 130 people listen to us live. We did this on the fly. We literally decided last night to go live, and we're just grateful for everyone tuning in and everyone who's going to be tuning in afterwards when this is uploaded on YouTube. We cannot do the show without you guys.
Yep.
And thank you again, man. We're just very appreciative. Everyone wants to hear us talk Canes football, and we cannot wait, man. 9 days away until we play the Alabama Crimson Tide. I can't wait. I hope you guys tune into the Mark Rogers YouTube channel with Ross, Derek Coe, and Jordan pregame, postgame, and into our show as well. I will be doing a postgame for the game, and September 2nd. Keep your eyes out on that date. We have some special things going on.
Yep. We're going to be right at it September 2nd, guys. We're going to hit it tough.
All right. And always, all about the U. Go Canes.
Go Canes.